Welcome to Intentional Excellence, the podcast where we explore the power of intentionality in transforming our lives, careers, and relationships. Each week, we bring inspiring stories and strategies from leaders, entrepreneurs, and change makers who live with purpose and intention. We are close to wrapping up our January series, Purpose Driven Men Making a Difference. And I'm your host, Candice Ruggiero. I'm a keynote speaker, podcast and live show host, educator, aspiring author, and an entrepreneur. And I'm thrilled to welcome our guest today or tonight. He is Coach Nigel Romany as we dive into his journey of intentionality and how he has made a lasting impact as both an educator and a youth basketball coach. Let me first introduce him. With over 18 years of dedicated to BHNCDSB, which is a school district in Canada, Coach Nigel Romany has honed his leadership capabilities, guiding young minds as an elementary school teacher and shaping future generations. In his parallel journey as a youth basketball coach, he has crafted a unique approach to team dynamics and individual mentorship, fostering both group cohesiveness and personal development. Coach Nigel is the proud father of four amazing young ladies, married for over 30 years to his wife, Gail, and most recently promoted to Pops with the arrival of his granddaughter. And having been involved in athletics from an early age, playing hockey and various sports, it only seemed natural for him to transfer his knowledge toward coaching. Join me in welcoming to my podcast Coach Nigel Romany. Hi, Nigel.
Hi, Candice. Thanks for having me tonight.
It's my pleasure. And you are calling in, or you are coming in. You are in Canada, right?
Yeah, up north,
Up
and
north. Is it cold there? Because it's
it's cold.
freezing.
We're in the minus degrees. We've had a kind of a cold spell, so I think you
Well,
folks in Florida had some snow as well.
I know. I'm waiting for that snow. Unfortunately, I'm in the other side of Florida without the snow, but it's still pretty cold. But I spent most of my time in New York, so I'm so used to I'm so used to the negative as well. But I kind
Yes,
of miss it. So I hope we get a little bit of snow.
just a little bit,
Uh,
not too much though.
Not too much. All right. Well, again, thank you for being here. Do you want to add anything to what I already said about you? Did I miss
No, I think
anything, Nigel?
that was a great introduction. Thank you very much. I really
Thank you. It
appreciate
was
that.
all about you. All worth
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you, Nigel. All right. So, Nigel, um, I wanted to ask you. Um, I'm always excited. Okay. I know you're an educator just like me. And whenever I have an educator as a guest, I am just excited because I know exactly how it feels as an educator. So let's talk about intentionality, which is really what my podcast is all about. Nigel, intentionality talks about how you are purposeful and intentional with your action, with your desires, and with your actions, your purpose, your voice. Nigel, let me find out from you, how do you bring intentionality into your role as an educator and youth basketball coach? And perhaps you can also share, what steps do you take to ensure that your actions and decisions positively impact the young people you mentor?
Well, I think it's very important that we take a look at probably the most important letter in the alphabet, which is the letter Y.
Ah,
Take a look at, I always try to remember why I'm doing what I'm doing. For me, it's not just a paycheck or a hobby, because I know that if you do it right, you can make a big difference in the lives of these kids. And that's what it's about. It's not about just the ABCs or the X's and O's. It's about, I like to say, teaching kids how to think,
mm-hmm.
how to how to be themselves,
Right.
how to and more importantly, especially in the last couple of years, appreciating themselves. appreciating that God made us unique for a reason. And that's where our difference is what makes us special. What I really don't like to see is kids who try to conform to everybody else. The kids I love are the ones who are able to be themselves,
Yes.
and because it's not easy. It is not always easy to stand out. But that's where the difference is made. And I always try to encourage these kids to be themselves, be
Right.
different.
Right.
So when I'm teaching and I'm coaching, I'm thinking about why I'm doing what I'm doing. So like as a coach, it's not about the scoreboard because I always every team is different. So I have different levels of success criteria I have for all my teams and all my students for that matter, because everybody's going to have a different level of success. I have a girl in my class right now who's super, like she just did an online test and she was number
Wow.
one in the world for her age group. So I'm thinking, okay, I got to give this girl something different.
Yes, like something higher.
Yeah. So today, so for instance, today I gave her work that was like 3 grades above her.
Nice.
Uh, And she nailed it. And we did it together. Versus somebody else who's just at grade level,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give them different work.
Yes.
I'm not going to treat them, I'll
The
treat them
same.
fairly,
Mm.
but I'm not going to treat them the same
Right.
because they deserve to be treated for who they are. In the school system, they go differentiated learning. Well,
Yes.
I like to say it's more individual learning
Mm-hmm.
because everybody's going to be different. My, every one of my players has a different skill they bring to the table. Every one of my students does something different.
Right.
It's my job as a coach slash teacher to bring that out in them, not have them just be like everybody else.
Right.
On the basketball court, it's easy because I only got 12, but I have I coach my best player different than I coach my middle player.
Mm-hmm.
My best player, she knows she's expected to do a lot more, but I can give her different duties,
Okay.
give her different responsibilities.
Which is also still important, right?
Yeah, I got to push her just as hard as I push everybody else. I
Mm-hmm.
yell at her probably more than the other ones because I know she can take it, but I also need the other ones to know that everybody's going to get criticized.
Right, right,
I'm not
right.
a mean coach, but I do yell at every one of my players. I have been known to criticize every because my job is to push them. And that's probably the bottom line, without going too much into it, is my job is to make them better,
Mm-hmm.
and I cannot make them better if I let them be comfortable where they are.
Yes, yes.
I cannot let them be comfortable. One of my pet peeves is we have come so far in society with accepting who we are. And that's fine. I say accept who you are. Be aware of who you are. But where I see the problem happen, just my personal opinion,
Right.
people are settling for who they are. You can accept who you are, but
Mm-hmm.
don't accept that for who you have to be.
Yes.
So if you're a C-level student, I know that,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to work from there to bring you up to a B and an A. But I'm not going to let you stay at a C.
Right.
I'm not going to let you stay at. I'll meet you there, and together we'll grow. Basketball players, you can't hit that three yet. I know that. We're going to work together for you to hit that three.
Okay.
So like we be aware of where we are. We accept of where we are, but we don't settle for who we are if
Yes.
we're not happy. And quite frankly, if you're happy, then you're something wrong because you should never be satisfied. You should
Yes.
always be trying to get better. So like personally myself, I was like 296 pounds 3 years ago.
Wow. Look at you
And
now.
I'm 218.
Okay.
218.
Look good.
So about 80 pounds. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
I knew where I was.
All right.
I said, I got to get better. So I accepted who I was. I was aware of who I was, but I was not going to settle for who I was.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I just kept on going. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about intentionality. I make sure that everybody gets what they need. My job as a coach and teacher is to put my students and my players in the
First.
best position for them to be successful, whatever their level of success is. I'm not going to have my players play in positions that they're not going to be successful at. At the same time, I'm not going to let them get too comfortable.
Right.
Once they get one aspect, let's go. Let's reach that next mountain. Once we reach that mountain, let's reach for the next one.
Right.
It's always about getting better, and that's really what I try to focus on.
Right.
Treating them each individually. They all have the same standards of trying your best,
Right.
but your best might be completely different than
Different.
somebody
Hmm.
else's. I have like my students, and I love phys ed, obviously. I have one student who has some history behind him.
Right.
He couldn't do certain exercises at the beginning of the year, and I found out why. I real We sat down and we talked, and it wasn't because he didn't want to; he just couldn't do it.
Okay.
So I said to him, "Hey, that's fine.
Uh-huh.
I want you to do what you are capable of doing. I'm not going to criticize. I'm not going to tell you how to do it because you're going to do the best you can."
Right.
And I have seen him progress this year. His parents tell me he's more physically active now than he's been in the last 4 years because I'm letting him be himself.
Yes. And you're tapping into his skills, his innate skills, who he truly is. And
Yeah,
then once you're able to really get to know him, that this is what he's good at, then you can further help him because he's comfortable being himself first. And that's important when we are in a classroom, right?
absolutely. You got to get them being confident and comfortable
Yes.
with who they are. And once they're there, you can just see them flourish. You can see them shine. And that's what coaching and teaching is about for me.
Yes.
Watching
And
these
that's
kids flourish.
right. That's why our roles, because I've been in the field of education for 30 years as well. Been in several school districts, New York, Connecticut, and Florida, different age levels. I had admin jobs, I had teacher, but the important thing is really building that rapport with our kids in the beginning, the first 2 weeks when school starts. I put aside learning. I focus on getting to know each other
Absolutely.
because when I know who my students are personally, what their culture might be, because I always work in a Title I school wherein I deal with students from they're migrants, they come in like in the middle of the year, they have come from like a lesser social economic status. For me, my goal first is to get to know them, make them feel that they have a space in my classroom, a classroom where they can shine, a classroom where they can be themselves. And honestly, I give my students hugs every day. I don't care who you are. I don't care how tough you think you are. But I have the younger kids. It doesn't matter. But then the fact that they know that, hey, somebody cares for me genuinely, believe me, learning happens naturally if you really find the find that connection that you have with each and every one of your students. That's why our roles as a teacher huge, and until now I have my students who already have their own kids now still reaching out to me and saying, I remember this, Mrs. Ruggiero. I remember this when I was, I mean, it's because that's how you made an impact. You really got to know them. And I like what you said, wherein you're not helping them if you're not letting them step out of their comfort zone. Once they find out their strength, then we can push them to become better. I like exactly what you said about that, and I'm glad that you are also bringing it to the sports and your coaching, because sometimes Nigel, in the classroom, they're different. They know there's more expectation, there are more rules in the classroom, but once they're out there in the field or in the court, they can actually be somebody they're not but still be the best, right? I mean,
Yes.
just laugh and play. Sometimes the most quiet student in my classroom, oh my goodness, is probably an MVP when he goes outside in the court. So you know
Oh,
what I mean,
the kids are
right?
so different on the court than they are in the classroom sometimes. It is so great to see.
I know.
Like I've coached girls for the last
Uh-huh.
10 years or so, and I got some of the sweetest girls you will ever meet. But you put them on the court, and man, oh, I love it. I'm not gonna I'm not
Whoa.
gonna tell their parents that they're dropping swear words every once in a
Uh-huh.
while, but they
Don't
are
tell them. Don't tell the parents.
no, they are competitive and they get
Oh,
mean and
yes.
they just want to win. And they're the sweetest kids in the world.
Yes.
Oh, but on the court, it lets them just get that little competitive edge out. Oh, I love that.
Uh-huh. Well, and not only that, it doesn't have to be sport because I'm not sports minded. I don't even play any sport, okay? The only sport I played growing up as a student was volleyball because I had to, all right? But you can tap into their creative side. Like I'm
Yes.
more like a singing, like I sing, I'm part of the choir. Not the best, but I made it to the choir or the dancing. It could doesn't have to be sports. It could be any creative side. And once you find out what they're good at, oh boy, you'll just be surprised. Like sometimes, it surprises me wherein I would see like a poster and I see my student there. Where in the classroom, she's the most quiet person in the classroom. You know what I mean? It's just wonderful how kids are,
Yeah, because
and
everybody's going to have their own passion,
strength, skills.
passion and strength. Like I have four daughters, and three of them excel in basketball, and the other one, she's excelling in the theater.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay.
she's following her dreams, and she works in the system as an education assistant. But on the
Yes.
side, she does plays. She's on the stage acting and singing, and that's when she
Aww.
smiles, and that's when she's happiest.
Oh, yes, and you
So
have
I
to
love
develop
that.
it. You have to develop it. Not even if they came from the same parent, they're different. They're
They're
so
different,
different, Nigel. You know what I mean?
and we got to remember that. So
And our role is simply to support them, whatever path they want to go to in life. Just support them.
yeah,
Just
we
be
don't
there
always
for
have to
them.
agree with them. We don't have to agree
Right.
with their path.
Right.
I just support them, and
I'm
I
just
know they'll find
surprised
their
that
way.
three of your girls are doing the same thing that you're doing. That's amazing. It must run in the
Well,
family.
they got me into the sports. They got
They
me.
did.
They
Okay.
did. Because it started with the oldest was playing soccer, and she had a coach, and that coach just left, and so I just jumped in,
Uh-huh.
and that was like probably 20 plus years ago, and I just kept it going.
Wow. Well, how long have you been coaching?
Almost 20 years now.
Is it the same school district?
Same city, yeah,
Okay, same city.
same city. So
Uh,
I've coached boys, girls, anywhere from 8 year olds to 18-year olds, and the last 6 years, I've actually I started coaching my kids,
okay.
and then they got older, and I still love coaching. So the last
Yes.
6 years, I've been what we call as a non-parent coach.
Okay.
So I have no kids on the teams that I've been coaching for the last couple
Okay.
of years,
All right.
and so that's just it's also it's like I adopted 12 more daughters.
No, they become your kids.
Absolutely,
Your students in the classroom, I'm sure, and the students you're coaching, they're your kids. I'm
they're
sorry.
mine.
They're mine for a year. They're mine
Oh, they're
for a
mine for
year.
life. They're mine.
Yes, you're
They're
right. You're
they're
mine for
mine
life.
for life. Like I see former students at
Uh-huh.
the gym or whatever. Hi, Mr. Romany, or I see former players. Hi, coach. I always
Uh-huh.
tell them once you have me as a teacher or a coach, you have me
Yeah.
for life.
Yes, I love that.
You have me for life.
People don't realize our role to these kids. The connection is unbreakable, especially once you have these connections with the kids. I'm sorry, you can't. They'll always remember you for something.
Yeah.
That's my coach. Is it Romani? Did
Yeah,
I
Romany. Yep.
called Romani? I said Romani. I'm sorry about that.
That's all good.
Yeah. I mean, just I love being a teacher. I love being a teacher. You
Yeah,
can't take that away. Once an educator, always an educator.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
coaching just gives me another extension of that, really. So,
Right. Yeah, it's the same. They're still your kids in another setting. It's the same. It's the same. You
yeah.
play the same role, but you can be tougher here. You can like yell at them because you're in the court.
Yes, I can do a little bit. I'm a little bit different on the court than in the classroom. That's okay, and they know
And
that.
guess what? They'll come running to you, giving you high fives or giving you a hug. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter how much you
something
yell at them.
something about sports where we can do a little bit different. But even former students I see in the mall because
Uh huh.
I work in the same city that I live.
Okay.
So I've always believed that for me. So I'll see former students in the mall, and they'll come up and talk to me, and oh, I remember this, remember that. They don't remember that I taught them how to add 2 plus 2, but they'll remember how I treated them.
Mr. Romani, I've been meeting the kids of my former students now. I mean, they look for me on Facebook, and then it's just amazing because they have their own family now.
Yes.
It's just like I because I used to have. I'm from the Philippines. Formerly, I was born there, grew up there, and I was able to put up two schools there in the Philippines,
Oh, fantastic.
and and you know what, it surprised me because like maybe 10 years ago while I was already here in America, one of my former students in the school that I owned opened a Facebook page of my old school, my former school, and they started inviting my old students, the teachers that I hired, the bus driver, myself, and it became a community. And it was a school that I built 20 some 20, yeah, 30 years ago. You know what I mean? And for them to go out of their way to build a community and just have that connection again. Oh my goodness, you can't replace that with
No, you
anything. It
can't.
was pride. I felt proud. I felt like um I did my part as an educator. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because you left a mark to these kids.
absolutely.
Now, another thank you for that, Nigel. Another important part of my podcast is authenticity. Nigel, I just want to ask you, how do you maintain authenticity in your teaching and in your coaching style? And how do you think being authentic helps you inspire the students and athletes you work with? I know we talked about that in a little bit, but let's talk about that in a deeper level.
Well, I've always believed that you got to be yourself,
Yes.
and I am honest to a fault with my students and my players. I tell them like it is, but more importantly, one of the things that I am not afraid to admit I'm
Your
wrong.
mistakes. Yes.
My mistakes. I'm constantly making mistakes in class, not on purpose, but in the classroom, I will make mistakes. The first day, kids were saying, I have ADHD or whatever, and I said, you know what? So do I. So
Aww.
do I.
Uh-huh.
And I will sometimes go off on tangents and say, oh, sorry, my ADHD kicked in again. And I'm just honest with them. And if I make a mistake and they correct me, I
Right.
say thank you.
Right.
I let them know that it's okay
It's
to make
okay to make
mistakes.
mistakes.
It's okay. And I say, if I don't know the answer, I'll find the answer for you. It's the people who try to act like they know it all and they have I don't have all the answers.
Right.
And I let them know I don't have all the answers. I will make mistakes. I will tell them what it is,
Right.
but I'll do it gently at the same time. For my basketball players, if I don't know how to do something, I say I'll find out for you.
Right.
If I mess up, I'll tell them. I said, look, guys, that game was on me. I didn't do this right, or I didn't do that right. I have recently this season. Every season I make different things, but this season really stuck with me. I made a big error last year, but I'll talk about that later. I didn't play this one girl enough,
Okay.
and I said to her after the game. I looked at her because I was missing my assistant coach. I'm not going to make excuses, but I said to her, I said, look, today's game was not you. It was me. It was all me.
Okay.
And I profusely apologized to her. I went to her parents afterwards. I said, her playing time has no reflection on her.
Aw.
It was all me. It's all me because sometimes if a player doesn't play, they're thinking it's their fault,
Yes.
and they didn't do something right. It's my job to tell them. Her job, her situation was unique. I don't know what happened, but I realized at the end of the game, oh my God, I messed this up so much.
Right.
And I just went to her and I said, look, girl, this was not you. This was all me. And I owned it right off the bat. I didn't let it sit for a day. I didn't let it sit for an hour. I went to her right away. I went to her parents right away. And they said it's okay. And I said, no, it's not okay. It still bugs me to this
Right.
day. And this was like months ago.
Because you hurt somebody's feelings. You
Because
know
I
that,
know I
right?
did. And I didn't mean to. Because she's a great
Right.
kid. And I said, it's all me. So that just makes me, I let them know when I mess up. If I get a technical foul, because I get emotional, I say, my fault, ladies, my fault. And with my team in particular, especially with the basketball, more with basketball, and the students were starting to, they take a little bit longer I empower them.
Right.
I'm a big believer in empowering my players and my
Mm.
students. For my players, I need them to call their own plays
Okay.
and make their own decisions. We have certain things you run. A goes to B to C to D to whatever. We'll have different sets for those who don't know basketball,
No.
right? But
Yeah,
a
I
set
don't.
play is where you're supposed to go in different spots,
Okay.
different sets they run. And I said to a couple of practice the other night, I said, what are you comfortable running? Because they start the actions. And I said, well, I want you guys to start calling your own stuff, unless I call specifically for it.
Right.
I want you guys to start making those decisions. You guys start deciding how you play.
Right.
And that's just empowering them to make their own.
Right.
As as they get more comfortable with it, as I have them for longer, they start really, it becomes their team.
Okay.
Like my team from last year, I had 2 or 3 captains. I would send them videos of saying, here's what I want to run. Here's 3 options. Which one do you think works best for our team?
Right.
And
Right.
they would
Yeah.
come back to me and say, I like this one. Say, okay, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. What do you guys think? What do you ladies think? Like they were 16 years old, and they're
Oh,
helping.
okay.
They're helping decide what our team's going to run.
Right. Right.
They run their own warm ups, pre-game, before the game starts. They run their own stuff
Wow.
because it's their team.
Right.
I just put them in motion.
Wow. It's
For my students in the classroom, I run a tight ship. I'm
right.
not going to lie, but I had 2 guys talking in the back the other day. I let them finish the conversation. I said to them, I said, "That's the conversations that I like."
Okay.
You two were talking about the math problem. You were helping
They were
him.
figuring it out themselves.
You were helping him with the math. That's the conversation I like. Today we were doing fractions.
Right.
I think I had probably 2 or 3 students walking around the classroom helping other students.
Wow.
And I just sat back and said, fantastic.
Yes.
When you get them helping each other
Mm-hmm.
and working together,
Right.
then I know I'm doing something right.
Yes.
When they don't need, it's like when we raise our kids. We raise our kids so they don't need us.
Yes. You want them to be independent. You want them to problem solve. You want them to do things on their own, not because you don't want to help them, because you want them to use their own skills to figure it out, right?
So with my students and my players, I want them to start thinking and helping
Yes.
each other. And I
Hmm.
will let them do that. I will let them dictate what we do in class.
Right.
And every year is different. Every team is different. This year's class, they love doing videos,
Oh,
which is
okay.
really weird for young kids these days. I got to be honest with you.
Well, the social media part, don't forget the TikTok. They do selfies, they do videos. They're probably used to it.
Yeah, but I've had classes before where I couldn't get them to talk on camera for anything. So when I
So
took,
why do you think it's different? Like
I don't
what?
know.
How
These kids are just, they're not dramatic, but they're just comfortable
yeah, being yeah.
presenting,
Mhm.
presenting on film. And can you show this to the class? Can you do this?
Uh-huh.
So I've changed a lot of what my assignments are. I used to do, you'll understand, I used to do a lot of PowerPoints.
Yes,
Do
no
this
more.
in PowerPoints, do this in Power. And now I've changed them.
Right.
Instead of doing PowerPoints, do a commercial.
Yes.
So they're doing commercials now.
Right,
They're
right,
doing
right.
videos to present what they've learned because that's who they are.
Right. Right.
Next year's class might be different, but I have to be able to adapt.
Yes. We are adapting now to these kids.
Yeah, we have to be able to adapt to them. Like it's no longer pen and pencil all day long. We got to be able to let them express what they've learned in different ways.
Yeah. Well, in America, in the school districts, specifically here in Florida, they have really changed the dynamic. I mean, I've experienced the change first in New York, but now that I moved to Florida, the past 2 3 years they just started to make the change. We're in it's now student led,
Yeah,
right? And in the big like talking about math. I was so used to myself teaching because we're just, like we feel like I'm a teacher. I have to
we
create
have
like
to
what you
teach.
said, you have to teach, you have to create all these powerpoints, you have to know what you're doing, you have to follow this. But because of the change, I struggled in the beginning because I was so used to just conducting the class. But then because of the I'm like, really, they're not going to learn. I had my doubts because of what we're used to. But when I finally saw the the importance of allowing the kids to lead, not just in math, with everything, the results are breathtaking. They were like what you said, they were helping each other, the student engagement is higher, everybody's participating, and if you give them different ways to present their learning, like what you said, a video. I even did like debate for first graders. They were debating. I made like a role play. Oh, it was so cute. It was so cute. And sometimes I would even have, the games. You include technology and have games. And I would even have like a role play, a pretend like store, because like I came from like a STEM school or STEAM school. So it's a lot of like project based
Yeah,
activities. So when I transform my classroom into, let's say, space or like a supermarket, you know what, that's when I hear the languages where they came from. They were speaking in Spanish, they were speaking in Asian, like think like these kids that wouldn't even say anything, but because of these kinds of activities wherein um they had they were able to like express themselves. Boy, they were talking. I actually learned how to speak like some Spanish words because of them. Because you know what? Because we are bringing out the best in themselves, which is ultimately finding their authenticity, right? And I like what you said, we're in making mistakes and telling them that it's okay to make mistakes. That's big for students because sometimes they expect that when they're in school they have to follow the rules, they have to be the best that they can be. But it's no, but if they finally learn to accept, hey, I'm not good at this, but I need help. You know what I mean? It will totally change the dynamic of your classroom when they can finally be. It's the safety. I'm safe in this classroom. I can make mistakes. I can be myself. And that is one thing that I prioritize in my classroom, Nigel. Just a positive classroom culture
yeah,
because that's
yeah.
when you're going to develop these kids.
And it all comes from being using the word comfort level
Comfort zone.
properly,
Yes. Uh-huh.
using that phrase properly, and that you need to be comfortable in who you are,
Yes.
comfortable to make mistakes, comfortable
Right.
to say the wrong thing.
Yes. that nobody's gonna laugh at you. And then, like, I like what you said, like sometimes make mistakes. Like, I really sometimes pretend that I'm making mistakes. I have the younger kids, and they laugh at me and they accept me, and I will say, is it okay, Mrs. Ruggiero, for made a mistake? Yes, Mrs. Ruggiero. But you think it's just them acknowledging, but no, it's they're really acknowledging the fact that it's okay to make mistake. And that's part of authenticity. When I call somebody authentic, Nigel, it's not because you're the best, it's because you're able to overcome your challenges, your defeats, your trials in life, and made you who you are. And that's what we want for our students, really, just embracing who they are as a person.
Yeah,
Especially, I'm dealing with different cultures. Like, I could count the different cultures in my room. But yeah, because
you have to.
when yeah,
They
you
have to
have
make.
to.
They have to make mistakes because we
Yes.
can't. We can't help them if they don't
If
make
yes,
a.
if
If
they're
they don't make a
perfect.
mistake, we can't help them. Like
And even us as a person, if we don't make mistakes, how are we gonna grow?
how are
How
we
are we
gonna grow?
gonna
Like
improve?
I'm lucky. I have a great principal who,
Okay.
when I mess up, she tells me, and I love it
That's
when she tells me.
positive. Let's call it positive feedback.
Oh yeah, she gives me positive feedback, but we get along great because of that. Because I have total respect for her for doing that.
Same thing. When you get observed, how do you feel, Nigel? Honestly, for me, I don't care. The more I get feedback, the next day I'm already changing my ways.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what I mean? Feedbacks are good. I don't know why
feedback is
some
good.
of the teachers are just so scared. Of course it's a little scary, but it's there to help you. It's
If
there.
you're comfortable in
Feedbacks
who
are.
you are, you can observe me all day. You can put a camera on me
Me
all day
too. I have no problems. And I'm
because
like,
I
whew.
want to get better. I
Yes.
want to get better, and my players the same way. And thing, I will. I like to scare my players. If they make a mistake on the court,
Uh-huh.
I'll pull them off. But here's what I do. Well, here's
Uh-huh.
what I differ
What?
from a lot of coaches that I've seen. I've seen if a player messes up, they'll get pulled from the floor, put on the bench, and they will sit there and not know why.
And
What I do, I pull them, I sit them beside me,
you
I
talk
talk,
to them.
I talk to them, I explain what they did and how they can do it better. Oh, and then you know what I do?
What?
I put them right back on the floor. I put them right back out there. I take them off for 30 seconds.
Yes.
I talk to them. I intentionally do this.
Yes.
I talk to them. I let them know, okay, this is what you got to do, and this is what you should be doing. Oh, and then I put them right back on the floor. And if they that way, they know they can make a mistake.
And not only that, they know exactly what they did, or they know how to improve because you were intentional and told them exactly kind of what went wrong, and then you gave them feedback. But if you're just gonna let a student, some unfortunately some teachers still do that, wherein some kids get like a little, what do you call that? Okay, I don't want to say penalty. They get something without saying why.
Well,
Why did I get this?
that's when I
Yeah.
started. The most important letter in the alphabet is the Y.
Yes. Yes,
If
for
you
us it's the
reprimand somebody, you
WHY.
have to let
Yes.
them know why they're in trouble,
Right.
why they're getting this, and why they're getting that, and then give them a chance to make up for it.
Yes.
Like when my students do something, more so my students than my players,
Right.
I don't ask them what they did. I know you hit Johnny. I saw you hit Johnny. Okay,
Don't
poor
deny.
poor Johnny, because Johnny always gets a bad phrase. Johnny and Susan always get bad raps. But I
Uh-huh.
know I saw you hit Johnny, so I'm not going to ask you, did you hit Johnny? I'm going to ask you, why did you
Why?
do that?
Mm-hmm.
And then they got to think about it. And when you find out the why, it
It makes
means so
sense.
it means so much more.
Right.
Johnny took my truck. Well, why does that upset you?
You're right.
Because that truck came from my grandma who passed away, and it
Right.
means a
Oh,
lot to me. It's my favorite truck in the world. So then we find out why. It wasn't
right.
because Johnny took my truck. It's because that truck means a lot to me. Sorry,
Yes.
Johnny, but we gotta find out the why they're doing what they're doing. Like, it's so important. On Wednesdays, I do I try and do bullying posts, and
Okay.
I talk a
How
lot
does that
about
work?
find out why they're being like that.
Okay.
If we can find out the why kids are doing what they're doing, then we can help them because we know what they're doing.
And sometimes there's an underlying reason.
There's an underlying reason why they're the way they are.
Yeah.
A student comes in completely out of character for the day.
Right. Right.
You got to say why. What's going on? Like a nice kid all of a sudden is mean one day. And you know it's out of character, so you're not gonna punish them. You're gonna find out
Right.
why.
Right.
Find out why they're doing what they're doing. We find out the why, and then we can help these kids.
Right.
But
Right.
until then, we can't. And that's what being authentic and intentional is about.
Yes. 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 Um, our roles are just so important, Nigel. Like, people don't realize what teachers would do for their kids.
Yes.
Like, I would do anything for my kids. You know what I mean? I know this is a sensitive topic, but I'm going to talk about it. Okay. The shooting happening in America.
Yeah.
Um, I would die for each and every student of mine, and they do have. I come to school. I used to go. I start. I shifted career. Ever since that happened, I would come to school scared, always scared. We do have a plan. We all have a drill, right?
Yeah.
It's not enough. It's not enough for me because once I'm inside the classroom, the drill doesn't work anymore. You can't just hide next to the wall because when somebody comes, what are you going to do? You're against the wall. So I had to come up with my own plan as a mom and as a teacher. You know what I mean? And imagine planning what to do because all you have to do is go to work. But I have to plan it because I have to protect my students and
Yeah.
myself. Um, I have pepper spray. I have like big long rods that I hide behind the classroom. Sometimes I'm like, why am I doing this? But this is our reality. This is our reality, unfortunately, where I work or the schools in America. And people don't realize that the teachers will do anything for their students because that's how much we love them. Like when you're a teacher, you're not just there for like what you said, you're there for life.
You're there
you
for
know
life.
you're
Like I
there for
remember,
life.
I remember when I started because I'm on the Catholic board, so we had to meet with our priest, and he said, he goes, "When are you a teacher?" And I said, "When am I not a teacher? I'm a teacher
Yes.
24. I'm a teacher 24/7, 365. No matter where I am, I'm a teacher. I don't
do
check
you do
in."
you experience this? You go to a store and you see like a little scenario, you're still acting like a teacher sometimes, right?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Or let's say I go to a party, like a birthday party, and then the host cannot control the kids.
Oh
I
no,
find myself just like going there and
yes.
helping. It's not like I'm bragging. It's just like, can I help? And
That's just
all
who
I
we
do
are.
is like, I do my charm, I do my teacher voice, I do my teacher stand. Woo! They're all there listening, and
Yeah,
then
the
the
teacher
party is
stance and the teacher
amazing.
look. Yeah, teacher stance and the teacher look. Yeah, you see,
All right.
I see parents of my former students all the time. So yeah, we're always teaching. We're always a
Yeah,
teacher.
right. Well, that's also the reason why sometimes it's hard to work in your own school district.
It
I
is
I rarely do that. Because I love the Title I school, and I used to live in like a nice like
a
a
different
nice
area,
community. You know what I mean? So I don't get to see my students. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, wherever you are, you see your students, you'll just hear them, Mrs. Ruggiero, when you are in a restaurant. It's just the feeling. It's
yeah.
just you know what I mean? Like you feel like you're a superhero. You feel like a
Yes,
superwoman. Right? All right. So, Nigel, another topic that we're going to talk about is resilience. Okay. Another big topic in my podcast. So, Nigel, can you share, let's say, a specific moment when you had to demonstrate resilience in your journey as an educator or coach? and perhaps share how you model and teach resilience to your students and your players.
Well, resiliency is really all about my whole journey. I
Okay.
won't go long about it, but I switched careers midway through my life. So when I started in this teaching up here in Canada, it was like we people refer to as the Hunger Games. It was really hard to get a full-time job.
Okay.
It was really hard. There were a lot of us out there, and the jobs just weren't there. So I spent too long, but I spent almost 10 plus years just being a supply teacher and an occasional teacher, only
What's a
working
supply teacher? We don't have that here. What does that?
occasional teacher,
Or like a sub?
like a
Okay.
substitute
Okay.
teacher. Yeah,
Okay.
substitute teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Or we I had a lot of what's called long term gigs, which 3 or 4 months or 6 months,
Long-term subbing. Okay.
long term subbing. So I
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of years of that, and there was a point where I said, I don't know if I can do this, but I knew I'm not gonna. I'm Catholic, but he has plans for me. I know that, and I said, this is my calling. I'm not leaving. I ain't quitting. I'm here to the end.
Yes.
So I stuck with it. I taught grade 12 math. I did kindergarten for a little bit, only a day at
Mm-hmm.
a time, but I did long term gigs at grade 12 math, grade 11, grade 9, grade 7, grade 6. I
Wow.
kept with it. I kept with it because I wasn't giving up because I knew this is my calling. I wasn't switching boards because I wanted to be with this board where my family was. I look back on it and it made me a better teacher because when I'm teaching my kids in grade 6 and grade 7,
Okay.
I can honestly say to them, I know what you need to know in grade 11 and 12,
Right. Right.
particularly in math. I know what you need to know because I taught grade 11 and 12 math. I have truly, as the saying says, been there, done that.
Right.
So I know what they need to be prepared for the future. So I've had so many different experiences at different schools that I'm able to give that experience to my kids,
Right.
to my students, because I know what it takes for them to be successful.
Yes. Yes.
So while it wasn't always pleasant, it made me better. That's the way I'm
Right.
looking at it. I ain't bitter, I'm better.
Yes.
So that's why I always said, don't be bitter, just get better.
Right.
So that me becoming a full-time teacher was resiliency right there. I don't talk about
Right.
it a lot, but I had to fight through a lot of things just to continue to be there.
Right.
The system's different now because we are short teachers now.
Oh, is this also the same in
Yeah, we
Canada?
got we got kids who we got kids. If you're 18 years old, you can be teaching in our schools. We call
Well,
them
I
emergent.
thought that was just like a U.S.
Oh no! We call them emergency instructors.
18 years old, so they're still in. So right after high school,
Right after high school. Well, yeah, had some grade 12s come in.
do they have this
We call
condition?
them
Do they have
emergency.
restrictions? Do they have conditions? Can they be in a classroom?
Yes, they're in the classroom. I'm not going to get into politics of it, but we got
Okay.
19, 20 years old with no teaching education coming in and
Wow.
substituting in our classes. We got people who are going through teachers college substituting in our classes.
Okay.
So that's how bad we are. That's how. So people
Well,
are
it's the
getting
same here. It's the same here.
people are leaving teachers college and getting jobs right away.
Right. Right.
Whereas I took 10 years, so I have a greater appreciation. I'm not
Right.
going to say greater. I do. I have a greater appreciation for my job because it took me a long time to get it.
Yes.
It
Yes.
wasn't just given to me because I had an education. So I fought. So that resiliency I model every single day.
Right. Right.
In terms of my students, I work with them on a consistent basis. I say we're not there yet. That was a big phrase years ago, but I've been doing it forever. We're
Right.
not there yet. Let's keep going. You don't. Oh, that's great work you got today.
Right.
That's improved from yesterday. Let's keep going. Let's see what we can do. You don't get it now, you're going to get it down the road.
Right.
I
Right.
coach my elementary basketball team.
Uh huh.
These are a bunch of girls who never played basketball in their lives. A month ago, I had one girl, soccer player. She could not do a regular layup, which is a basic basketball move. And
Okay.
I could see that she was frustrated. A month later, she's doing these moves like without, like
Wow.
with with ease because she stuck with it. And I let
Right.
it. I didn't yell at her. I said, "You'll get it. Just do trust the process.
Right.
Trust what I've showed you." And I said to him today, because like I said, I coached at many different teams.
Okay.
My main team is my elite team. These are girls who are going to be superstars. But
Okay.
at school, I got kids who never played before, just going to a one-day school tournament.
Right.
So I've just been practicing with them. I said to them today, I said, ladies, it doesn't matter what happens next week. As far as I'm concerned, you guys are already winners.
Right.
You guys
Aw.
have improved so much
Yes.
in the last month. You didn't quit. You came to every practice. You worked hard. You had fun, and you got better. That means more to me than any banner they're going to put on a wall.
Yes. Of course.
Because whether they realize it or not, in their minds they're going to say, wow, I didn't think I could do that.
Right.
I
Right.
kept at it. I kept at it. I can do it. So if I keep doing it, I keep working at it, I'm going to build that resiliency in whether I realize it or not.
Right.
And that's
Right.
the thing about life lessons is we don't always have to tell. We can preach all we want
Mm-hmm.
that you got to be resilient, but sometimes just letting them experience that for themselves
Right. Right.
just builds their own confidence up.
Like failing and making mistake, it all goes back to what we talked about, developing the authenticity, right? It goes together when you are able to accept your mistakes, what's hard for you, falling and failing and just getting back up, that makes you resilient.
That's
And
makes it
it
resilient. Like, I think we forget sometimes that when we're babies, we let our babies stand up and fall.
right.
We let them fall all the time because they have to get back up. As the kids get older, we gotta let them fall down once in a while.
Right. Right.
We're there to give them a hand back up, but we gotta let them fall.
Right. It's those moments that really will test you and make you stronger, right? I wanted to share with you that in 2023, my husband passed away.
Oh, my
And
condolences.
thank you. And that is really, that is kind of the reason why I made the big career change from the field of education to what I'm doing now. I'm a keynote speaker, I'm a podcaster, I'm writing a book. I'm a host of a live show and an entrepreneur myself because of resilience. There's so many challenges I had to go through. Now that I'm being alone, like I'm a single provider. Like in my state where I am in Florida, teachers don't get paid a lot as compared to when I was in New York. Like I knew I had a calling to have a career change, but also part of it was like, I'm not going to survive. I won't be able to survive, being a single provider and still have like a good life, because like I said, life is life is hard. Those are the things that I had to work on to build my resilience, just like everyday life of being now a single mom, a single provider, still being present for my husband passed away, let's say yesterday. Nigel, I was in school at 5 o'clock in the morning to leave. Guess what? What did I leave? What do teachers leave when you're gone?
Oh, we gotta leave plans.
Yes, my husband passed away nighttime. I was in school 5 in the morning before school started because my school was early. They start at 7. Leaving lesson plan
Lesson plans. Yes, that's why we
because
don't take days off.
it's still the teacher of me. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't leave my kids without anything. And then one week after my husband passed away, he was cremated, I was already in school. Like everybody was looking at me like, why is she here, what is she doing, like it, I knew they were looking at me like, why. I acted tough, I acted like I'm okay, until my principal called me to her office after one week and said, Candice, What, are you okay? Yeah, yeah. I always smile. I'm always a happy person, right? And then she said, you know, it's okay not to be okay, right? And I just, whoa, I just
Yeah.
started crying like a baby. All right. So from that day, I knew I needed to heal. I needed to take a break. So I was on a FMLA leave for 5 weeks. It took a while for me to accept because there was just so many things happening in my life all at the same time. But eventually, that 5 weeks helped me heal, develop my resilience, and look at me now, trying to be the best that I can with this career change. And the best part is I love the journey. You know what I mean? When you are called to do something different, like I feel like everything that happened to my life for the past year and a half, it's because it's my path. I meant to go through this in order for me to be where I am right now. And it's right now I can say that I'm okay and I'm enjoying my journey. If it's not for what I'm doing, I wouldn't have been meeting wonderful people like you.
And sometimes, and that's really what I believe, the struggles are there to help us,
Yes.
but also some of us go through struggles so we can help others.
Yes.
I believe that because I've been through I lost my parents a couple years ago, and I dropped the weight. I've had financial whatever, but I
Yes.
believe that we have our struggles, one to make us stronger, but some of us, like myself and yourself, we have these so we can help others. We're
Yes.
going through the same thing because when we realize that we are not alone, we can help so many other people.
Right. Right.
And I truly believe, I truly think this is our passion, and this is what we're meant to do. We're meant to help others. He put us
Ni-
here to help others.
Nigel, in the beginning, it was hard to get speaking engagements because I was new, right? Like it's not easy to enter the speaking industry if you have no experience. So that's why I put up this podcast so that I will have an opportunity to speak. In the beginning it was just like a portfolio thing for me to add, but no, now every podcast that I have, I'm meeting incredible people. And especially this series this January about men making a difference, I never realized how powerful somebody's story is to make an impact. And I'm just in awe of the people that I'm meeting. And I have two who, right after our podcast, started their own podcast. They realized that they too have a voice. They were so scared to start something, but after our podcast, in 3 4 days they started their own. I had guests were in right after our podcast, they started their own business. They became a different version of themselves. So like what you said, this is our path. Our path is to make an impact, and it's because of all the things that we went through. That's why we're here right now. And it's just amazing what we have to go through in life in order to say that, hey, wow, I want this path.
I
This
want
is
this
who I
path.
am. This is
I
who I
read
am.
I read a passage from Joshua Medcalf, um, Chop Wood Carry Water book.
Okay.
I read that to my class once or twice a week. It talks about the rough side of the mountain
Okay.
and how the rough side of the mountain molds you and makes you better. He uses the example of the golf ball, in that the golf ball originally didn't have dimples on it. I'm going to go quick story. Golf
No,
ball
no,
didn't
go ahead.
it didn't the golf ball originally didn't have dimples on it.
Okay.
But one of the testers had a theory that maybe these beaten up golf balls will be better. So he went in the morning when nobody was around and tested them. And they found out that the dimples in the golf ball actually make it better. So that's why golf balls have dimples, because the turbulency or something like
See?
that. So
Wow.
we all have our own dimples in life,
Yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
the rough side of the mountain makes us who we are.
Yes.
And we're meant to share.
Right.
We are meant to share our stuff. I like to say I make a difference every day.
Yes.
I make a difference in the lives of my students, in the lives of my players. Eventually, I'm going to be making the lives, the difference of people 5, 10,000 at a time when I'm on stage. Right now, I'm going to make 1.2 as we hit this podcast goes viral, but
Nice. Yeah, it will. It
it
will.
will. But making a difference one step at a time, and I'm going to be taking it out of the classroom, out of the basketball court to the
Yes.
world.
I felt guilty in the beginning. Oh my God, 30 years. Like I'm supposed to be an assistant principal because I'm in the pool already of being part of the admin. But that was my long-term goal. That was my life goal to lead a school in America. But now I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm now I've realized that I can make an impact by going outside the four walls of school. And I actually came up with a live show, Nigel. I just woke up one morning. God was telling me, I need your voice. Do this." So I live stream every week on like 5 social media platforms. Do you know what I talk about? Love,
Oh, fantastic.
embracing yourself, inspiring others, and global compassion. So I have my own live show, and it, like I said, it's live stream on different social media platform, because love is something that's so simple, Nigel, but it's often overlooked. You know what I mean? It starts within you before you can uplift others or show others compassion. And I just look forward to what I do on a weekly basis. And you know what? If maybe three, four, five resonates with every live show that I do, I'm okay. Then I've done my goal. I've made my path, because you know what I mean. If you can change few people because of your words and your action, that's like a ripple effect, you know.
Absolutely.
It's going to like attract more people, or it's gonna impact them to impact others. And I think that's what you and I are here for. That's why we're talking right now, because we simply want an impact, our students, our followers, our viewers. And I wanted to ask, what's your ultimate, goal? Like, what have you been doing now? Because now that we are experts in the school, as coach and as teachers, how do you plan to really move it further?
My plan, right? I wrote a book called
Okay.
where is it?
Yes, show everyone, and we're gonna do a link for that. So do you have an ebook for that, or is it all like hardbound?
You can get it on Kindle.
Okay.
So it's on
Okay.
Amazon, so you can get it on Kindle as
So
well.
the process to personal greatness.
Yeah, be different,
Okay.
be great.
Wow.
A process to personal greatness. It's a short book. It's a short
Okay.
read. It really just talks about the steps that you take to be great, from action to actually it starts with acceptance and
Yes.
awareness. You got to be aware of who you are and accept who you are, but don't settle.
Right.
The action, which we all know about, and the accountability,
Right. Wow.
and how to make adjustments. And in the action part, what you can expect, because it's not
Right.
always fun. It's not always fun. So I talk about that, and that's the book was really going to be a sidestep to. I'm going to be speaking at schools
Okay.
and conferences to youth about how it's important to change if
Okay.
you want to change, and the steps to change. Because I truly believe that we all can be better,
Yes.
no matter who we are and what we are, and it's okay to be different. My first thing I want to let people know is that it's okay to be different.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to not be like everybody else. Set
Yes.
your own level, as I say, personal greatness, because we each have our own different level of success.
Right.
For some people, it's just getting out of bed in the morning. Other
I
people,
love that. I love what you just said. Yeah.
for some people, it's getting through the day.
Right.
Like I hit the gym 5 times a week, but I'm just crazy that way.
Oh no, I'm like that too. If I don't go to the gym, I'm in front of my TV dancing Zumba.
Yeah, that's just I'm crazy that way. But for some people, it might just be going to the gym. and walking around the gym and doing 2 or 3 exercises
Right.
more than you did yesterday. And that's what I'm. Can you hold on 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, God damn it. Phone's dying. That's fine. We're good. Sorry. So, yeah, it's just about reaching your own level of greatness. Because, like I said, I work out in the great gym. So people are lifting.
Yeah.
And I'm a grunter. But
Okay.
when I look at these people, I don't compare myself to them. But
No, you shouldn't, even
they're
as
an
a
insp-
speaker.
they're
Mm-hmm.
an inspiration to me because I'm saying, you're working it. You're killing it. Let's do it together.
Right.
So I'm not looking at how much they left. I'm looking how hard, and they do the same to me. So I don't look at them for comparison. I look for inspiration. They're working
Right.
hard. I got,
I love
I got
that.
to, I got to work just as hard. So everybody has their own level.
Yes.
Everybody has their own person. I want to let people know that it's okay to be different. In fact, I encourage you. If I had
To
one thing to
be
say to people right now, be you, because you don't know how great you can be. And in the book and in my talk, I talk about what you can expect along the way. How can you make those changes?
right.
Not about sound bites. It's about actionable things you can do to get better. I'm not here to sell you anything. There's a lot of famous speakers out there who will go up there and the one line I hate, I got to tell you this. They say, "Oh, you want to be successful? You got to do it now. Jump in. Don't wait." You know what? To me, that's a sales pitch.
It is a sales pitch.
It's a sales pitch. If the time is right, if
Yes.
it's the right thing to do today,
Right. Mm-hmm.
it's the right thing to do 6 weeks from now when it comes to money.
Right.
I'm not going to get into financial things, but start preparing for it.
Right.
Start preparing to make those next steps. I talked about one of my posts most recently was be prepared for that opportunity because you
Good.
never know when that
When it's
opportunity
gonna come.
when it's going
Yes.
to come.
Right.
I started this. I call it my side gig because I'm still working.
Mm-hmm.
I launched it last June, so 6 months ago.
Okay.
It was in my mind. It was in my mind for a
You're
year.
my soulmate. Let me share right after this.
It was in my mind for a year before that. I did my prep work. I launched. Didn't have a lot of money, so I did a soft launch. Wrote my book. Now I'm starting to get out there. I'm preparing myself to be ready for the opportunities that are coming. So in 6 months from now, I'm going to be on a couple stages. In the fall, I'm going to be in at least 4 schools. 2020, I don't even know what year, 2026, I'm going to be in 12 schools. They're not booked yet,
No, but no,
but
you
they're going
have
to
to
be.
manifest. You have to
They're,
affirm your life and manifest your life.
they're going to be, absolutely.
Well, the reason why I said you're my soulmate, because that's exactly what happened to me. The career change, it all looks so good. Oh, I want to be a keynote speaker. I prepared 4 keynote talk in June. I registered in those clubs wherein they give you conferences that you can apply for. You know what I mean? And I just kept getting rejected, rejected, and rejected, right? And I can't blame them. I don't have anything in my portfolio yet to prove that, I've had speaking engagements. And like what you said, that happened in June. So I decided I need to do something while waiting. That's why I went to the podcasting. Now I'm like from my initial goal of just being a keynote speaker, it opened so many things for me, Nigel.
Yeah, and
And
that's what,
that's your preparation that you were talking about. That's my preparation stage. Because you know what? Looking back in June, I'm like, am I really ready to speak in front of like hundreds of people? Because you're not supposed to be like using anything. It has to come from your heart. You're not
yes.
supposed to memorize anything. Back then, maybe I'm like, hey, maybe I wasn't ready yet. But now, because of this planning stage, because of what I did, my social media presence, my live show, my videos that I do every day, my code, I can come out now on any stage, 1,000 of you, and it's gonna be me. I'm not even scared because of the preparation that I made.
Yeah.
So everything happens for a reason.
You
And
know,
now,
and that is so true. Everything happens.
yes,
We don't realize it, but everything happens for a reason.
yes,
Everything, like I talk about it in the book, things happen for a reason. It's all in how we look at it. Like I can go on for days. That's what I'm going to be doing when I get on stage. It's how we all look. It's being able to make the when we talk about it. When I talk about accountability, I talk about making the changes.
right.
I have a chapter on making adjustments, and that's really what it's about.
And now I'm part of a speakers bureau. Okay, two international speakers bureau. Going back to what you said of just being you, if I look at, because I could see their video reel, I could see their accomplishment. If I look at each and every speaker and compare myself, I'm gonna be like overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my goodness, they're so good.
No,
They've been on TEDx, they've been on like multiple speaking engagement, and if I base it on that, then I'll probably like give up. But no, I don't even look at them because I am me. I have my own. I have my, it's what they're gonna see is just the genuine me,
yeah,
which I've developed my own following. I've developed my own speaking style. I've developed my own uniqueness, and I'm not afraid anymore. I don't care if I compete with seasoned or veteran speakers now. People are gonna like me because of me, and I'm not scared anymore. That's the authenticity that we've finally reached. You don't care. It's you. You never compare yourself to others.
yeah,
um
yeah.
and that's, yeah.
I'm gonna take that one step further, and
Go ahead.
it's okay to look at other people and say to
So,
yourself,
as inspiration, like what you said.
exactly as inspiration. If they can do it, I can do it. And you know
Yes,
what? I can do it better than
yes,
they can do it.
yes, yeah.
And that's what kept me in in my teaching gig. I'll be honest with you. I've seen teachers out there who were teaching, and like, really, really, you're teaching? And I said, I can do that. I can do it
Yes,
better than that. So I
yes.
knew I was destined. And there's speakers out there who there are some great ones out there, but there's some who are really
I know, I know, I know.
like. I'm not going to go on. We have one guy who comes to our schools. He's been around for a while. He does all tricks and stuff. And I refer to him as an entertainer.
Okay.
He entertains. They pay him a good buck, and my principal pays him. I'm thinking, really? I didn't. I've seen his talks a couple times. I didn't learn a single thing. He entertained. I'm not
See,
gonna.
and there are some speakers who are like that. They come out singing, they come out dancing because they entertain. But if you look at their lessons, their takeaways, what did I learn from
What
this
did I
speech?
learn? Like I'm gonna entertain you because I'm an entertaining guy,
Yes,
but I'm gonna
yes.
educate you. When I leave the room, you're gonna have two, three takeaways minimum because I'm about educating you and making you better.
My goal is when I leave the room, you're gonna realize that, hey, if she can do it, I can do it too. Or, hey, my life lessons are, my life is like the same. It's normal. Everybody goes through this. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Just empathy and connection. I want them to know that this is real.
it's
And if
real.
I can do this, if I overcame all these challenges, you can do that too.
Yeah, we're
You know what I
everyday
mean?
people. We're
We
everyday
are.
people. We're not Olympians. We didn't climb Everest, but we're everyday people who fight and have gone through the same struggles that everybody goes through.
Right.
And when people realize that they're not the only ones going through things, it's going to make a huge difference because we're not alone.
I know, and if your speaker is a millionaire who's all they're doing is show off their possession, and how people are not going to resonate with that. People are going to
No.
resonate with this process. How did you get there? You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know. So I'm just saying that the power of speaking and storytelling is so big and huge nowadays, and the impact that we can do. just being ourselves can change lives. You
It
know what I
can change
mean?
lives.
It can change lives. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing now.
And I think
Um,
what you're doing is fantastic.
Thank you. And I just want them to know that if I can do this, despite everything that I went through, then anyone can do it themselves. You know what I mean? I'm not extra special. I was a teacher. You know what I mean? Just teacher just like you or a normal, regular person. But look at me now. I'm enjoying my journey. I'm I'm sort of like I'm all over social media and I still have not changed. Like I am me, you know, just embracing who I am and sharing it with with my following, with my audience and my viewers. And they can do whatever, and like what you said, in your own time you will find your path. But
Yes.
don't stop looking for it. Don't stop looking for
No,
it.
never stop looking. Never
And be
stop.
open to when it comes, because like I said, this is something divinely guided to, like guided, given to me
Yeah.
divinely. I didn't ask for this. It just like all of a sudden I woke up, this is what I want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
And you can't say no.
I
You
listen.
can't say no.
I listened to a podcast, Big Lash Energy, and a shout out to her. And she said, "You know what's a true passion and a dream? If it stays in your mind.
Aw.
If it's
Yeah.
always nagging in your head,
You
you
have to do
know
it.
you have to do it. It's not a fleeting thing that comes and goes. If it's
You
in there,
can't.
if it's in there and keeps nagging at you, you have to follow it. That's why I'm following it.
Well, that's why I'm doing so many things now, because there's so many things in my head right now, because God knows, or whoever, God knows that I can do it. You know what I mean? I don't think you are gonna be given activities that you really can't do. Like, you know what I mean? You can do it,
Absolutely.
you know. All right. Now, Nigel, you are an amazing, amazing guest. I love how we are connecting. And I hate to say, I hate to end this, but there's always this question that I ask my guests. Nigel, if there is like a concept, quote, or a topic that you would want the my viewers to remember you with or by, what would that be?
I think it's pretty simple. I
Okay.
talked about it earlier. Just don't be like everybody else. My
Yes.
book says it all. Be different.
Be
Be
different.
great. If you look at all the people who are great in this world, you look at Walt Disney, you look at, of course, the athletes, Michael and Kobe, you look at anybody who's been successful, it's because they were different.
Right.
And
Right.
they followed and they embraced their differences. Steve Jobs, Billy Gates, they embraced their differences and they became great. I want everybody to realize that your differences is what makes you special.
Yes.
Embrace that. I had a per, student in my class a couple of years ago. I'm trying to remember. She was going. They were going through things, identity and so forth. And I said to them, "You are the strongest person I know," because they. I'm careful with my pronunciations. They accepted it and they announced it
Wow.
and they embraced it and they didn't. I seen them a couple of weeks ago at another thing and I said, "I love you because you're strong.
Oh, aw.
You're strong." It's not about whether I agree or disagree because they have their own life,
Right.
but they were strong enough to accept who they were and embrace it. That's what makes their great. That's what makes them great, and they're
Right.
going to go on to achieve great things because they're different. Because they're different and they're embracing it.
Right. And if you and I, as educators, keep instilling, and I'm talking to the teachers out there, if you keep instilling this important message to your students, then you are really leading them to greatness, because they just need that confidence. They need to build their confidence. They need to know that whoever they are, it's acceptable. Be
Yes.
you, be unique, and that's the best teaching that you can ever leave to
Yeah.
your students.
Absolutely.
Make them love themselves. Make
Yes.
them, and that's like I said to all the educators out there, just embrace your students and develop them in order to become better. Don't put them down. Even the way they look up to you, the words that you use, just be careful, make sure it's positive and nothing demeaning. You know what I mean? Because they look up to you.
They do.
You play such a big role in the lives of
We
students.
don't realize how big a role we play until afterwards.
We can either break them or make them.
Yeah.
You know
Oh,
what I mean?
so true. That is so true.
That's the power of teachers nowadays.
Yes.
That's why I also created a tour. It's a heart of teaching tour, wherein I go to schools, empower the teachers, like what you said, to find the why, always going back to the why are you teaching. And I'm also to help them fight burnout, because it's a common thing. I don't know if that's a common thing in with teachers in Canada, but in America, I get burnout. Like sometimes, I mean, because of the demands of teaching, it's pretty great. That's why I came up with this tour also, to empower teachers to find their why again and to help them fight burnout. Because if, like what you said, we're so powerful in the eyes of the kids. If we show that we are like exhausted or not ourselves, then you know what, you won't be able to reach your students on a deeper level if you yourself is stressed or burn out. So
Absolutely.
we have to develop ourselves first
Yeah.
in
We have to
order to
take care of
become
ourselves
great
before we can
teachers.
take. We have to take care of ourselves before we can take care of others.
Right. Nigel, do you have any parting words, anything you want to promote again, anything you
Um,
want to say to the viewers?
the website
Okay.
is www.coachromany.ca. So coach ROMANY.ca. You can find the book on there. You can find my contact information there. I'm on all social media: TikTok, Instagram, and LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, all under Coach Romany. Kept it simple.
And I will publish this and on Spotify, YouTube, and soon Apple Podcasts, and I will share it to different social media platforms. So I will reach out again to Coach Nigel for all the links. So when I share it, I have all the direct links to how you can purchase the book or how you can reach them. All right. So I want to make sure I'll reach out to you and get all the links so that
Absolutely.
we can spread it out. Again, Nigel, I want to say thank you. Again, it was lovely to meet you.
It was
Uh,
awesome.
it was awesome too. I know. I enjoyed every moment of it. And everyone, thank you again for tuning in. I hope you found this episode of Intentional Excellence valuable and inspiring. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and follow me on my website, CandiceRuggiero.com, my social media, Linktree/Candice Ruggiero, and together, let's continue to embrace intentionality in every aspect of our lives. Until the next time, stay focused, stay intentional, and stay inspired. Have a good evening, Nigel. Have a good evening, everyone. Thanks,
Okay.
Nigel.